Hi, Dale mostly coming to you from my house today. By the time this video hits, it will be past Halloween, but currently it is a couple of days before Halloween. In fact, it's the day of our party. We've been working really hard all morning, cooking food, decorating inside, decorating outside for our guests that will be here later tonight. We have a lot of things out, but we have a lot of things still to go. But no worries, we'll have it all done by the time guests get here. I had to run to one of the big box stores to pick something up we needed, and that is where my rant begins. Even though it's not even Halloween yet, we are inundated with Christmas already in all the stores. Don't get me wrong, I love Christmas. Christmas is my favorite time of year, in fact. But I just wish it could stay packed up a little bit longer before it let itself out. I like to celebrate one holiday, move on to the next. End of my rant. On to this video's project. This video, I'm going to show you how to turn a single 4x8 sheet of plywood into several Christmas tree lawn ornaments. I mean, for your haunt. Yeah, for your haunt. Because it's too early to be doing Christmas. It's not even Halloween yet. Let's get started. I have a roll of construction paper that's 48 inches tall, so I cut myself a 2.5 foot section so I can draw my pattern on it.
Hello friends. The first step is creating our Christmas tree template. And to do that, we're going to be making our happy tree. I see my big happy tree being right here. Find your happy place for your happy tree. There are no mistakes when you're making a happy tree. The happy tree comes from your heart and will live and grow. That's perfect for my happy tree template. Let's move to the next step now.
Here's my happy tree template that I'll use for my cutouts. This construction paper kept wanting to roll back up into a cylinder, so I had to tape it down to my table to cut it. I cut around it all the way around. If you are OCD'd and you want both sides to be identical, you can always fold the paper in half and then cut around the edges of one side, thus cutting an exact duplicate on the other. Me, I like having it a little bit different on each side, so I cut each side independently. Now I need to transfer the template to the plywood. Depending on the shape of your happy tree and flipping the template top to bottom each time you trace it out, you should be able to get at least 3 or more templates on a single sheet of plywood. I was able to get 4 templates out of my 4x8 sheet. To make each tree a bit more manageable, I rough cut between each tree so that I'm dealing with much smaller pieces. This will make cutting out the templates much easier. I was able to use my circular saw for a straight cut between the middle 2 trees. I used my jigsaw to cut between the other 2 trees. From this point on, I'm only going to show the making of a single tree. The other 3 trees will be done off camera, but follow the exact same process as the first. Using my jigsaw, I cut out the templates. I purposely go a bit fast so that I don't stay exactly on the lines. I want my trees to be different and each branch not exactly perfect. I think that adds to the project in the end. Remember, we're not making perfect mitered picture frames here. We're making fun Christmas yard art. After all, if you're not having fun, then why are you doing it at all? This next set of steps are completely optional. If you do not want lights on your tree, then skip these next steps. I mark roughly where I want each of the lights to be on the tree. If you want lights and want to use a string you already have, then count the number of lights on that string and measure the width of the bulb and drill the correct number of holes of that size. Simple. I set up my drill press with a 3/4 inch Forstner bit to go almost all the way through the plywood. I set it to stop about a single ply of wood short of going all the way through. 3/4 inch is the perfect size for my C7 sockets. I simply drill 12 holes in the places that I mark. This leaves me with 12 holes large enough to insert a C7 socket, but not go all the way through the wood. I then switch out my 3/4 inch Forstner bit with a 3/8 Forstner bit. I center this bit in each hole, and this time I drill all the way through. You'll see later how this creates a nice hole that will lock the bulbs in place on the tree. You may remember me using this technique in my Timmy Fell in the Well infinity mirror prop I built for Halloween this year. After a light sanding to take the rough edges off, it's time to paint. I start by painting the back. Even though the back will not be visible, giving it a good coat of paint will help protect it from the elements. This is just basic forest green rolled on to give it a good coat. I made sure to paint the inside of the holes as well to give them some protection, as that is a good place where water could start to pool up. Don't forget to give a good solid coat of paint on the edges as well. They take the brunt of the rain, so the edges need to be protected as well. I use the roller for the edges and then follow that up with my brush to get the areas the roller can't. For the front, I decided to try my own special blend of paint mixtures as well as my own homemade textured roller. I came up with a way that when the paint is mixed properly and used with the right textured roller, the paint will go on solid but then dry to show the final product. If mixed and rolled on correctly, and with a little Christmas magic, your end result will look something like this. Of course, having a wife that is pretty good at painting over my base coat of green doesn't hurt either. I'm making my own light string using a spool of bulk cord I bought a couple years ago. This is green lamp cord, some people call it zip cord. When ordering it, it's SPT2 cord. I pull off a good amount for the lead and then simply lay it out on the back of the tree in a way that the cord will not show from the front. I use a black Sharpie to mark the position of each hole for attaching the C7 socket later.
Like I stated earlier, you can use any lights that you want for these trees, or you can use no lights. They look great just painted by themselves. Just don't drill any holes and just use paint. For me, I have a lot of this extra bulk wire lying around that I bought a few years ago, so I'm going to go ahead and string custom lights so that they fit perfectly for 12 bulbs on my tree. I'll show you how to do it, but this is in no way intended to be an electrical course or step-by-step instructions on how to use this cord. It is easy, and I'll show you the basics, but I am not an electrician, so please look it up and be careful of what you're doing. The first thing you're going to notice on the male plugs, you're going to notice one plug, one side is thicker and one side is thinner than the other. The thicker side is the neutral side. This side here is thicker, it's the neutral side. That's important to know. The same thing is true on the female side. You have a wider side and a thinner side. On the C7 plugs, you'll also notice that on the inside you have a metal strip that comes down the side as well as a metal strip that's straight on the bottom. The strip that's on the side is also the neutral. Again, that's going to be important to know. If you look at the back sides of all of these, you're going to notice a couple of vampire plugs. These little knobs, these little nips right here, there's one on the left and one on the right. What you need to do is you need to figure out which one is for the side. So that's on the right. It goes to this one. So that I know that this one right here, that this nip right here, that is for the neutral. You'll do the same thing with the plugs. Now moving on to the cord, how can you tell which side is the hot and which side is the neutral? If you look on this side, you may not be able to see it, but it's smooth. On the other side, you can see ripples. The side with the ripples is the neutral. Now with that knowledge, we can go ahead and start hooking this up. The first thing I want to do is I want to cut just about 1/8 of an inch down the middle of this zip line. Just enough to pull them apart just a bit. What this is going to do is this going to help keep it from arcing and shorting out. I'm going to do this on both sides. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the rippled side, which is this side. It's on this side here, which is going to be my neutral. I'm going to find which is the wider plug, the polarized side. It's this one. So if I follow this straight back, I see that this is the fang is on my left, which should be your right. I'm going to make sure that this side, the rippled side, lines up with the side of the polarized side. I'm going to put this straight down into this hole, all the way nice and good, and I'm just going to simply fold it over. Make sure that those teeth really poke in well. Take my cap, slide it over. And there we go. There's the male side. I'm going to do the same thing with the female side. I want to make sure that the rippled edge goes on the same side, so that I'm going to push it down this slot right here. And again, there are a lot of YouTubes out there that give very detailed instructions on this. I encourage you to go look at some of those. Push this down, but it's quite easy to do. Done. At this point, I've actually just made an extension cord. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install the 12 C7 sockets. This is where marking my little black marks is coming in handy. I know exactly where the C7 bulb is going to go. And the way this works, it works the exact same way as putting on the male and female plugs. I find the rippled side of the cord, and it's this side here. As I'm looking down into the socket, I see this side here has the connector on the side, so I know that is the side that is the neutral. I turn it over, and it's going to be this side here, this fang here. So I need to make sure that the side that has the side connector goes to the rippled side. It goes on this side, and it simply just goes right on top. It fits right in. It snaps in nice and tight. You take one of these end pieces and you simply put it on. Twist this on nice and tight. I got myself a nice connection. I'll give it a test. Now for the test. There we go. It's working. Just need to do that 11 more times on this cord and we're done. Installing the lights on a tree is simple. Just place the C7 socket in the hole on the back and then twist on the C7 light from the front. Because the hole that goes all the way through the tree does not allow the socket to go through, the light securely attaches itself to the tree. Now repeat those steps 11 more times to install all the lights. Because the sockets stay in place fairly well with no bulb, I first place all the sockets in from the back and then twist on the lights from the front. Now find your little inner elf and tack down the cord on the back so that it will be secure and not visible from the front. I know Santa, and he's coming to my house. The final step is to install supports to run your rebar or 3/4 inch PVC through to be able to stand up your Christmas tree in your yard. So there you have it. Homemade Christmas tree. Do the same thing for the other 3 and I have 4 from 1 sheet of plywood. If this jingled your bells, please subscribe to my site, hit the like button, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Ho, ho, ho.